The Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection says his agency has stopped referring immigrant parents for criminal prosecution until federal agencies can agree on a plan to keep parents and children together. But President Trump wants to immediately deport undocumented immigrants before they see a judge. He spoke about it Monday at the White House.
We want a system where when people come in illegally, they have to go out. And a nice, simple system that works.
Attorney General Jeff Sessions defended the administration's zero-tolerance policy in a Nevada speech Monday. He claimed without evidence that many children are brought to the border by gangs. Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security says more than 500 children have been reunited with their families since the president ordered the government to stop separating them. But more than 2,300 remain on their own. Mireya Villarreal spoke to parents still waiting for word at the Texas-Mexico border.
These 5 migrant parents haven't seen their child since being caught illegally crossing the border, some for as many as 40 days.
What's the hardest part for you?
He says his 5-year-old crying out, calling for him. The group was released from detention yesterday after criminal charges were dismissed. The most recent evidence of Customs and Border Protection's new policy not to turn over illegal crossers for prosecution. Now they want their children back. More than 20 separated children are here in this tent city in Tornillo, Texas. We were allowed to tour without cameras. The video distributed by the government gives us a glimpse into their lives here. The supervisor, which has a government contract to run this tent city shelter, said the administration's zero-tolerance policy was, quote, a dumb, stupid decision that should have never happened.
We are working as fast as we possibly can to reunify children with sponsors here in the U.S.
Mark Weber is with the Department of Health and Human Services, which oversees the facility.
The incident commander called this a dumb, stupid decision.
Everyone is allowed to have their opinion.
But has the policy put an undue burden on HHS and these other facilities, these other shelters, your staff even?
And this program's set up to manage influx, and this program has demonstrated once again it can do that.
And Mireya joins us now from El Paso, Texas. Mireya, how were the children you saw in the tent city holding up?
Well, you know, a lot of them are teenagers. A majority are boys. There's about 326 children, teenage children in the facility right now. I mean, I had interactions with several of them. They seem to be in good spirits. Several of them said, hi, how are you doing, in both English and Spanish. They told me what country they were from, and they confirmed when we did ask a couple of times that they were doing okay. Really, right now, their main priority is to play soccer during the day, and they get frustrated when they don't. They're eating 3 meals a day. They have 2 snacks. Overall, this facility seems to be well organized and well run by BCFS.
What about the parents? What kind of legal representation do these parents have?
Well, right now, the 32 parents that we saw come off a bus yesterday here in El Paso at Annunciation House, those parents are being given pro bono legal representation through this nonprofit organization. It also kind of houses them as a midway point, kind of a stopping ground for a few days for them as they shelter here and try and figure out what their next course of action is. But they're offering kind of pro bono immigration services for their immigration cases. They also have to have kind of a separate pro bono legal representation to try and figure out how they can get their kids back. It's an extremely complicated situation that right now you can feel that these agencies just aren't talking to each other.
Well, is there any evidence at all that the federal government is in fact telling the truth about children being reunited with their parents?
Well, you know, we have seen several reunifications on camera happen at a couple of different either bus facilities or at airports. The problem is that we haven't seen a big number of them. I mean, obviously, right now, the government is saying that they've had over 500 of the children that were separated reunified. We haven't seen those 500 reunifications, but right now we are being told that a number of the reunifications will happen down in the Rio Grande Valley at the Port Isabel Immigration Customs Shelter. So we will see, hopefully, in the next few days if they can actually practice what they preach, which is that they are promising that they will reunify in an expedited manner. We haven't seen that just yet. We are clearly not hearing that from the parents that we are talking to right now.
Well, what sort of unknowns are we still waiting to learn about?
You know, I think the biggest unknown is kind of where the disconnect is, why there is a lack of communication between these agencies. When will they start talking to each other? Are they going to get a big room and kind of hash everything out? I mean, look, it is clear that Immigration Customs Enforcement is tracking these children. They have a way of tracking them properly. And clearly on the other side of it, HHS, Health and Human Services, they are clearly taking care of these kids. But the question is like, you know, are they talking to each other? Are they making sure that the parents know exactly where their kids are? When can they get them? When can they talk to them? So communication is the biggest unknown at this point. You know, the other unknown is what is going to happen with the people that continue to come into the United States illegally. Right now, we're being told that these cases are being dismissed out of the criminal courts here in El Paso. On top of that, we heard Customs and Border Protection saying we're not going to be charging them. We're not going to be referring these cases anymore to be charged because we don't have the detention space. So again, another unknown is, are we going to see the zero tolerance policy continue to be enforced if you don't have detention space? We do know the Pentagon has said that they have 2 military bases that will be potentially housing up to 20,000 migrants. If that is the case, then we might see this policy get pushed back into the spotlight and be used again by some of these agencies.
Right. Mireya Villarreal in El Paso for us. Mireya, thank you.